So as you may know, I'm a huge proponent of creating regular content for your business to thrive. I believe in content marketing. But maybe you're taking me up on that. Maybe you're starting to put out a lot of content and you're asking the question, Graham, why isn't my content working? Why is nobody engaging with the content? When does the content actually drive traffic to my site and grow my business? Is there something I'm missing? Is there a right and wrong way to structure my content in order to get maximum engagement with my audience? This formula works no matter how you're delivering content. And there is a structure to content that makes your content stand out from somebody else's. And that's what I want to talk about today. It's not just what you say or how often you say it. It is how you package and deliver the message that really makes a difference. One, and the most important, is the topic. The topic needs to be interesting and relevant to your audience. What we're going to talk about today is useless if you are not talking about stuff that your audience cares to hear about. So the number one thing in content is always research, is always engaging with your audience and figuring out what they care about, what pain points they have, what dreams and hopes they have, what conversations are they already having that you can just dive into. So it starts with good content topics. The second part is then how you format or deliver that content. And that's what we're going to talk about today. Make sense? And what it comes down to is a simple 5-part outline. That what I'm going to do is break that outline apart, show you the structure, explain why this outline works, and give you examples of how it can work. And then there's a couple of bonus things I'm going to sneak in there as well for you to really spice up your content that I think really helps. But all right, so let me just break down. Here's the 5 parts, and then I'll break them down. It's the introduction, big idea 1, big idea 2, big idea 3, and the conclusion. That's the 5-part outline. If it sounds simple, you'll see how it works in a minute. And again, I'll share some of the spicy things you can add to it at the end. But the core of your content, the stuff you're sharing, teaching, exposing your opinion, whatever it might be, is going to be concluded or summed up in the 3 big ideas. 3 is a magic number. There's something about 3 points that is easy for people to digest. Thought 1, thought 2, thought 3. A, B, C. Beginning, middle, end, right? Every good movie or story has 3 acts. 3 just seems to fit in terms of any more than 3, we start to forget the other ones and we start to get lost of like, oh, this is a lot of information. And any less than 3 doesn't really harm it necessarily, but it seems a little weak. And if I started to tack on 4 or 5 or 6, it starts to feel like a listicle, right? An article that's just lists, like top 10, kitchen knives on the market, or top 10, then it just becomes long and it's not as compelling. There's something compelling about 3. Think of your content in 3s. If you can train yourself to think in 3s, 3 main thoughts, 3 main big ideas, 3 steps, it will give your content so much more structure and flow and give you enough meat, but not too much meat that people can't remember. So I start with the meat there with the 3 big ideas. Then I go back to the introduction, because the introduction is actually more important than the meat. Only because if the introduction is not good or not there at all, people will never really dive into the meat, right? So much of any content you do, whether it's your free content, whether it's your actual paid content that you're teaching inside your actual courses or memberships, or your sales copy especially, so much of any type of content delivery is staying connected with your audience and getting them to take the next step. It is my job to, at the very beginning, create a compelling enough intro to qualify what I'm going to be talking about so you can make sure this is what you want to hear about today, and to pique your curiosity to stick around to the meat. So I just try to make sure that in my intros that I address why this piece of content matters to them. I might craft an intro that reads like this. If you had told me 10 years ago that I could be working 5 hours a week, have complete work freedom, and earn more than a doctor, I would have laughed in your face. That is a great intro sentence. That's not even a paragraph. You see how that sentence kind of gets people's attention and it gets them intrigued and they're like, ooh. So this is your one opportunity to say, hey, come on over. This is actually going to be worth your time. This is going to be interesting. So it is very critical to craft a good intro, which is why I do it after the meet. I try to just get to the part of the content that you and I want to get to, which is the stuff. That's probably what we're best at. We know what we want to say. It's hard to write intros. Don't ever write them first. Just get to the meat, then go back to the intro. Now that you know the meat and you've had some time to teach it or write it or outline it or whatever, now you start to think about, okay, how can I get people who are coming in cold to stay with me for a minute and want to continue to pay attention? 3 big ideas, then we go and we craft the intro, then we go back to the end and we craft the conclusion. And this is generally the easiest part of the outline. You don't have to be that creative here, but how you do your conclusion is critical to making your content actually work for you and not just be good content. This is the part where we need your content to actually serve you and your brand. So there's a couple of things. One is I generally try to briefly summarize the 3 big ideas or summarize one giant takeaway from the 3 big ideas. I love the idea of action steps. Like, here's your one action step today. Like, you've learned all this stuff. Here's what I would like for you to do next to apply this material. People love that because a good teacher leads their students to the next step of application. So they're not just dumping information. They're like, here's how you could begin to apply it. Leave them with that big takeaway or big action step. But that's not all. Your content needs what's called a CTA. A CTA, a call to action. I missed this for I don't know how many years, maybe 4, maybe 5 years, which is really sad, where I would teach something awesome and then I would say, well, that's it for today. See you later. It would just be an awkward ending and I'd be gone. I would miss this massive opportunity after giving so much to my audience to then ask them for something in return. And there's 2 things you want to ask them for, and you can alternate between the 2, or you can do both, but generally giving one CTA, one call to action per piece of content is recommended. So the best thing you can do is ask them to opt into your email list. And no, you don't ask them to opt into your email list because no one really at the end of the day wants to opt into an email list. But what you do is you offer them a lead magnet, you offer them some free gift. It could be a cheat sheet or a PDF guide, or it could be a video series, or it could be a workshop that they can watch. It could be anything that's another piece of content that's exclusive to them if they give you their email address in exchange for it. Makes sense? So you want to call them to opt in for your lead magnet, number 1, or answer a specific question in a comment below. Ask them a specific, easy to answer question. When you can ask your audience their opinion on the subject or something specific about what you shared, you are definitely going to get more posts because people can't wait to start talking and share what they think. If you're on YouTube, for example, the more comments you get, the higher points you get in the algorithm for YouTube because of engagement. So both are important to your brand moving forward. You just need to decide which is more relevant to that piece of content. I tend to lean on always offering the lead magnet because what I really want at the end of the day is people on my email list, not to rank higher on YouTube. Although ranking higher on YouTube is good for me, but again, that's a means to the end of then getting more people on my email list. So both are important, but opting into your email list is ultimately the big one. So that's the 5-part outline. Killer intro that addresses the why, what, and how, at least addresses the why this is going to be important. 3 main big ideas, and then a good conclusion that gives them a focused final thought and calls them to take action. 2 things. 1, I have a question for you. Which of these elements of my structure for creating content do you feel like you need to work the most at, that you're the weakest at? Leave me a comment below and let me know which of those elements you feel like are you weakest at and you want to work harder on. I'd love to engage with you there. And then second, if you have been putting out content or you're beginning to put out content, you're starting to buy into this idea of content, but you don't know how to turn your content or use or leverage your content into a machine that feeds your bank account money, and you don't know how it really functions strategically within your business, like, Graham, I'm growing an audience, I think, are people liking the content, but how do I grow my business? Then I want to invite you to my passive income workshop. What I'd like you to do is go to grahamcochrane.com/workshop. I'm going to put the link below in the YouTube description. Watch this workshop. You're going to see content be part of one of these 4 components to passive income. And I want you to see how the content fits within the other 3 components, what tools I'm using to integrate all 4 of those, and how you can monetize your content to create your first $1,000 a month of passive income, even if you have only 30 minutes a day to chip away at it. That's what I want you to come watch. And then I want you to apply that material. It's absolutely free. GrahamCochran.com/workshop. Check it out, apply it, and dive in. That's all I got for you today, my friend. Thank you for hanging out with me. Thanks for listening. I hope this has been helpful to you. Hope you're staying healthy and safe. And I'll see you on another video real soon.